Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now, so let us tell you something you do want to hear. You are intelligent. You make all the right decisions. You were smart before smart was cool, and you made it cool again. You have a wealth of knowledge, and you are so very clever. I bet you already knew I was going to say that, you genius. There, don't you feel better? You'll also feel better when you hear you could save big when you switch to Progressive. But I'm pretty sure you already knew that, too. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Now streaming on PBS, Philly DA, a gripping new documentary series from Independent Lens. Will reformer Larry Krasner's agenda survive clashes with police and the courts? Philly DA on PBS. Stream it now on the PBS Video app.
This morning, I turn on local news and I see people extolling the virtues, unbelievable, rejoicing with regard to the conviction of Derek Chauvin, who was alleged to have killed George Floyd. Now, whether or not he's guilty of the crimes charged, and there's a lot of prejudice injected into this verdict, even from the President of the United States, the so-called President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Maxine Waters, you name it. The guy could not get a fair trial in Minnesota, should have been moved out of that venue. There should have been a mistrial declared. The judge typically, and this is what I write about in my book, didn't have the guts to do it, probably afraid that he'd be killed. The jury probably thought they'd be killed. That doesn't mean that I'm exonerating what this policeman did, but it was not a fair trial. It was essentially a legal lynching. But now it's being used to say that this is an example of the systemic racism by whites in this country. This case had nothing to do with a hate crime. Apparently, Chauvin and George Floyd knew each other. They had worked together. There's no evidence of any hate crime, but it was used by our dishonest hack politicians on all sides for their purposes to divide this country, to put it further into a socialist, communist, atheist, radical black, radical Marxian of the Jewish left, radical LGBTQ, radical Muslim, and radical atheist environment. This is what we live in today. It's complete dishonesty. And it's terrible what's happening in this country. I also turned on the TV and I saw that a cop in Columbus, Ohio, had shot a young black 16-year-old who was trying to stab another girl. She was in the act of actually stabbing her. Now, this guy's going to be lynched too. He saved the life of the other girl, but that doesn't matter. The very fact that you killed a black girl is enough to probably get you indicted and to get you convicted in today's environment. The police have no standing anymore. They, frankly, are the most persecuted group in this country. Doesn't mean to say that sometimes people don't get out of hand. All people get out of hand. But here's the hardcore facts. Go look at the statistics if you can find any, because sites like Google have erased this. But the incidence of black crime is much, much higher, and that's understating it, than white crime or any other crime. That's a fact. The cultural milieu of African Americans in this country foments crime. And I saw another commentator on local news say, well, the police kill more people in this country in 1 week than other countries kill an entire year. You know why that is? Because these other countries don't have black populations that he's talking about. And that's not to say that blacks in any way are bad people. Most black people are good people. In fact, the courageous people in this country are the black conservatives. It's the whites that are putting their heads down, saying, don't hurt me, running for the exits, turning this country over to members of all these radical groups who are using radical blacks as their foil to take this country into a dictatorship. And this is where we are today. And when you listen to people like so-called President Joe Biden and his vile, evil witch vice president, so-called Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris went out there and trashed this country before the world yesterday. Called it racist, called it systemic against blacks. I mean, I can't imagine what I saw on television yesterday. It's just unreal. Unreal. These are the people that represent, so-called represent, this country. Well, it's time to rise up. It's time for the majority to assert itself. It's a time for people to recognize that we've made tremendous progress in this country, but it's now been destroyed. The country is now in a war between left and right. One side's going to win, one side's going to lose. Now, if you're conservative, a person of faith, or someone who believes in the vision and creation of our founding fathers, and you think it's enough to sit back on your couch, eating popcorn or whatever you do, Coke, that is Coca-Cola, you might be doing some other things given the way the world is today, or wine, beer, whatever, you think that's enough? Then you will have no country. And you will have to someday pack up and go to another country because this country will be unlivable, much like South Africa became under the African National Congress. As I've said, apartheid was wrong and needed to be abolished. But who took over? The communists took over. Crime was rampant and is rampant. Property was taken away from people for pennies on the dollar. This is what is going to happen in this country. Reparations. And if you think you can sit around doing nothing, you are wrong. Well, go out and read my book. It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. Read the Declaration of Independence. Watch our citizens' grand juries. We're taking our justice system back. We have to be unafraid. We have to be bold. We have to stand up to this. We can't cower in fear. Enough is enough, and enough is too much, as Popeye used to say in my youth. I can't takes no more. I can't takes no more. Period. 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 And if you care about your kids and grandkids, you'll get up off the couch and get to work. Join Freedom Watch at freedomwatchusa.org. Join our citizens' grand juries holding people like Biden, his son Hunter, and his brother James accountable for massive bribery schemes bought and paid for by the butchers of Beijing in communist China. Join our Continental Congress, our third, which we're holding now. I changed the date to July 5th and 6th in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. It's the right time. It's the anniversary of our independence. Get up off the couch and get to work. If you think you can be a sunshine patriot or summer soldier and live in this country, you're wrong. God helps those that help themselves. God helped the colonialists, the founding fathers. They invoked the divine providence. They didn't sit there and watch Sean Hannity at night. They got to work. That's my message for today. Rise up, fellow Americans. It's just beginning. The Inquisition's just beginning. Now that the radical left, just the left, it's not even a radical left. It's like Islam. Islam's Islam and the left is the left. We know what they are. This is a crisis. And now that they think they have wind at their back, they're going to do everything they can to extinguish your rights. That's my message for today. Tune in for another podcast tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. The Father and Son are with us if we are with ourselves. Thank you for listening to me.
Bodega, 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 alpha and omega. Siamese sailors sell celery sandwiches. Sawing-a-bada, serving platter.
Hey, Jamie?
Yes?
Did you want to try reading that line on the script there?
Oh, yeah, let's see. You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, that one?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just not warmed up yet. Shouldn't be long. Detector test.
Bundle your home and auto with Progressive today.
The marmot mangled my mushu pork pancake.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.